Okay, today on the Madison Cooking Show, we have Debrina Madison here, and she's going to be showing us how to cook up a pot of Louisiana homemade gumbo, Louisiana style. And today's guest is Debrina Madison. How you doing today, Miss Madison?
I'm doing fine. Hi guys. Since it's cold outside and I already have to cook for a few engagements, I decided that I would make some gumbo. So we're gonna get started. I've pretty much prepped everything. That's usually the most difficult part, prepping everything. I am making okra gumbo. Some people like okra, some people don't. You don't have to include it. You may or may not like seafood. I put everything in my gumbo, so I'll be putting shrimp and crab, sausage and chicken in there. But just use what you like to use, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm not really a recipe person, but I tried to remember how much of everything I use. So let's get started. I already started. This is usually about the size pot that I use, and I have it about, I would say about halfway full with hot water. I'm going to turn it up to boiling to get it going. And the first thing that I'm going to do is add my seasoning, which I've already chopped up. And I have onions, green peppers, and garlic. This is about one large onion. You can use a couple of mediums, or if you like a little more onions, you can. I like to use yellow sweet onions. It just has a little better flavor than the regular or the white. Use whatever you prefer. No purple onions. I'm going to add that to the water. And then I use 2 medium bell peppers that I've chopped up. I'm going to add that as well.
Y'all did hear that, no purple onions.
And I have some fresh garlic. I love fresh garlic. I try my best not to use anything else. I would say this is about maybe like 1/4 of a cup. I buy the fresh ones already peeled, and so I just kind of pour some in the processor. So I'm going to add that. In my opinion, you can never have too much garlic. I'm sure there's some people who beg to differ. And I have later I'm going to put some fresh parsley in here. This is about 1/2 of a bunch, but I usually put it toward the end. So I have that. I'm going to add some seasoning. I like to use fresh salt and pepper. You can use whatever you'd like. And also some seasoned salt. I also use Tony Chachere's, but try to use that in moderation. I'm from Louisiana, so my taste as far as spice is a little different than most people. So just be mindful that it may get a little too spicy, so try not to use too much of this. So that's why I use this as well as the seasoned salt. And just put it in there to taste. You have a lot of water in here, so don't think that you're going to put too much in. You can always add some later, which is what I typically do. Very tedious doing the fresh black pepper, but to me it tastes much better than the pre-ground. So we're just going to mix all that up. And let that cook for at least about 20 or 30 minutes until you see that the bell peppers and onions and everything is cooked up. So we're going to let that simmer for about 20 or 30 minutes. In the meantime, I'll go over some of the other stuff that I'll be adding. Like I said, I'm going to be using okra. And sometimes I cheat with certain things. I prefer fresh okra, but I didn't have any, and I didn't have time to sit there and cut them. So I used 2 bags of the 16-ounce frozen okra. The only thing you need to be mindful of with that is make sure you take the tops out. Sometimes they include the tops. And I have it already cooked here. If you'll show You can see it?
Mm-hmm.
I have the okra already kind of cooked down. Some people don't like cooking okra because it can be kind of tedious. All you need to use is just some oil and the actual...
Is that olive oil?
It's olive oil, but you can use whatever kind of oil you prefer.
Okay.
Olive oil is more heart healthy than the vegetable oil and all that other stuff, but of course no lard or any of that other stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's a nurse also, so she's always going to try to do it on the healthy side.
For the most part. But you just add those two. Let the oil get hot and add the okra, and it does require a lot of stirring so that it can cook down. Anybody who has cooked okra, you know that okra is very slimy, so you have to just be patient and use the oil. And one trick that I do use is, and when somebody told me, I thought it was gross as well. To help cut down the slime, you can use a little bit of vinegar. It will not affect the taste. You won't taste the vinegar in there. So I would say maybe like about 2 tablespoons if you're going to use two 16-ounce bags of okra. And it really does help to cut the slime down because nobody wants to eat slimy okra. You can cook okra down to your preference. In Louisiana, we tend to cook stuff a little bit too much sometimes. So I didn't cook it down as much as where you can't tell that it's the okra, but then at the same time, don't put fresh okra just in the gumbo like that because the gumbo will be slimy. So that is going to sit for a while, and it's already cooked. And then I also have the chicken and the sausage I put in the oven and allow it to bake just because the chicken, to keep that skin from being real extra soft, I don't like it like that. So I'll put it in there so that it can brown, as well as the sausage to get some of that that grease out of there. It helps at the end so that you're not trying to scrape all that oil and all of that stuff off. Also, one of the most important parts of your gumbo is having a roux. The okra is a thickening agent, but you have to have a roux. If you have a roux, you don't need okra, but even if you include it or not, you still need the roux because it helps to thicken it up, and it also gives it that brown color. I cheat with my roux because it's time consuming to make. All you need is oil and flour. Put it in a hot pan and continually stir it until it gets dark. You don't actually need the oil if you don't want to. If you want to be more heart healthy, you can just brown the flour and it'll make a roux just as fine. If I ever make a roux, I usually don't use the oil, but it's your preference what you want to use. This is a lifesaver. This is by Southern Seasonings, and this is really the only one that I prefer to use, but it's roux in a jar basically. So
see that label? If they want to go out and buy some of that.
I have no connection to this company. I just like their product. So later on, I'm going to include this, add the roux to the gumbo to thicken it up. But if you're not a person who likes to make it, this is going to be your friend. So I will be back in about 20 or 30 minutes once the seasonings and all that stuff cooks down.